Good morning, everyone, or afternoon. It's 2:21 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, June 30th, 2020. This video is being brought to you by BioTrust. It's really important to keep your body healthy, keep it youthful, keep it strong. Collagen's maybe the closest thing we ever get to a fountain of youth, while also forming a really awesome wall of defense between your immune system and the rest of your body. 75 to 90% of your skin, bones, joints, and tendons are made of this age-defying nutrient. The older you are, the more likely it's caught your attention. Collagen is like a glue that holds everything together. And I have been using this, as I've said several times. They are sponsoring my channel, which is fantastic. I've been using this. It really works. My nails are super long. They're not breaking. My hair is the biggest thing that I noticed, to be honest, for some reason. It's like elasticy. It's not like brittle. Anyway, for ladies out there, that's great. But for men, strong bones, great nails. Make sure you guys go to healthwithbeans.com. That's healthwithbeans.com and try out this amazing product. It is tasteless, so you can put it in anything, even your morning coffee. Thank them for sponsoring the channel. I love you guys too. Hey in North Texas. Hey there. Hey Mark and Tammy. Thank you so much, Granny, for support. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. It's really fantastic. I promise you. I've been using it now for 2 months, along with the other one. So like, I tried it out for a month before I decided that I was gonna jump on board, obviously, and I noticed a difference in a month. It was really amazing. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about today. I love all you guys. Thanks for joining me. Tons of things to talk about, actually. I'm going to go through a lineup here that I've kind of pulled up for everyone. Hopefully get you in and out in about a half an hour, get you updated on all the stuff going on. And there is a massive storm going on right now outside. So if you hear any thunder, loud rain, we can tell ghost stories together and get it all going. We're also live on CloudHub right now, cloudhub.com. Amazing site. If you're interested in joining up, go to getclouthub.com/beans and join. Fantastic over there. And yes, I do have a Parler account at Tracy Beans as well. So we had an incident today. There was apparently a protest going on in Utah, in Provo, Utah. And in the middle of that event, when this guy was trying to drive through, they were jumping in front of his car, there were gunshots into his car. So watch this. He's like, move out of my way. They're trying to block him. He's driving. They shoot into his car. He's lucky he's alive right now. So they slowed it down here. Sorry about the noise. They slowed it down here so that you'd be able to see it. If you watch carefully, right here, you see the gun? You see that? He pulls out a gun and shoots into the car. So much for peace and love, right? I mean, look, there's literally no reason for this. If you've got a mob surrounding your car and you're trying to get away, I'm sorry, I'm blowing over whatever I have to. I'm just doing it. And yes, my firearm is going to be next to me the entire time. So this is very strange to be going on in Utah. As like this guy right here says, I lived there for a year down the street from Provo. You couldn't scrape enough Antifa BLM protesters together to form a crowd this big if you scoured the entire state. This is in Provo, Utah. Something's fishy, he says. So this is not common for Utah. Beautiful state too. So there's that. They're all watching. Somebody just said, watching from California, my daughter's concerned about COVID-19. She's a teacher aide for special needs. Now they're saying a new swine flu from China. So I've done a little research into the swine flu from China just to fill everyone in a little bit. There's supposedly a brand new strain of swine flu. It doesn't seem that it has jumped to any humans yet as far as they've reported. So this is still confined only to animals, only to swine. So it's a lot of fear mongering for no reason right now. So everybody hang tight on that. Next, this was something else. This has gone viral all over the place. These two people in an affluent neighborhood came out when the Antifa BLM protesters broke, or rioters or mob bosses broke through their a gate that separates this property from the public. It's a private neighborhood, private streets, private property. And these guys came out with their weapons. And so we're going to watch a little bit of this. And this went viral, and now it looks like the attorney or the district attorney in their area is looking to press charges. Now, okay, first of all, if you guys know anything about firearms, they're not doing such a great job here. Him much better than her. He admits in an interview that he does after the fact that she doesn't have any experience with weapons, and you can clearly see that. At one point, she was holding the trigger and she was standing behind her husband, and the gun was pointed at the back of his head, which was so dangerous. So, in a life or death situation, they felt threatened. She came out with a firearm to protect herself, but she doesn't know how to really use it well at all, actually. So these were originally, it had gone around that these guys were progressive donors, donated to Bernie Sanders, etc. But that's not true. They're actually Trump supporters who have donated to President Trump many, many times. Not that matters. It really doesn't make a difference either way. Yeah, somebody said he's pointing his weapon at her. Yes, he was pointing his weapon at her. It's really, really bad. A lot of people, they get firearms and they just assume that they'll never have to use them, so they really don't get trained on them, and they're not responsible gun owners in that she was waving her wrist around very haphazardly, like she didn't have the proper grip on the gun, she didn't have trigger discipline, she did not hold her firearm correctly, and he didn't either with his assault rifle or AR, whatever you want to call it these days, his bigger gun. So I hope that this experience has them get a little bit more firearms training. It's not hard, and you don't need a ton to understand safety. You really don't. A good class or two, and you really understand firearm safety, and you get a lot of practice. Go to the range 3 or 4 times, and you can safely hold your firearm and discharge it without worrying about shooting your husband or wife. I mean, just looking at this is like terrifying. I'm just saying. So it was a little bit scary to watch. Outside of that, they had every right to do this. So now we had this guy here who came out and tried. Well, I mean, they've gone through the ringer. They've had so many issues. But someone identify these people. I don't know the area. Get an address. I'll help. Sue them. Ruin their businesses. Help their employees. Sabotage their capital, etc. So on and so forth. But he ends up getting doxxed. And he actually turns out to have said some very disgusting and horrible. Here, this is what he said. I'm not even going to read it out loud. Just read it. I'll just give you a minute. So that's the sort of people we're dealing with. That's the sort of people we're dealing with. I just got a text from my husband. Ugh. Okay, not that he texted me. What he texted me pissed me off. Anyway, all right. So he's sick and gross, and here's his information, which I can't show. You can pause it, whatever you want to know. I'm just saying. Anyway, it's still up on Twitter, so he's been doxxed the heck out of now, and he shut down all of his accounts. But this is the type of people we're dealing with. And then there's the other people who said, let's call the police on the guys with the guns. The same people saying they should be arrested are the ones who want to defund the police. Here is the interview that he did. I don't want to play the whole thing.
Let's just get right to it.
The sound on this is bad. So he deactivated his Twitter account and his LinkedIn he erased everything. But this is the interview. The sound on this is bad, so you'll only hear left channel audio from her. So just bear with it.
But I know you have to prepare for a mediation. Tell me what happened last night.
We came back to the house I don't know what time it is. I've been up ever since, so I'm a little blurry. Um, but we were preparing dinner. We went out the east patio, open porch that faces Kings Highway on one side and Portland Place Drive on the south, and we're sitting down for dinner. We heard all this stuff going on down in Maryland Plaza, and then the mob started to move up Kings Highway. When it got parallel with the Kings Highway gate on Portland Place, somebody forced the gate, and I stood up and announced that this is private property, go back. I can't remember in detail anymore. I went inside, I got a rifle, and because as soon as I said this is private property, those words enraged the crowd, and absolute horde came through the now smashed down gate, coming right at the house. I mean, my east patio was 40 feet from Portland Place Drive, and these people were right up in my face, scared to death. And then I stood out there. The only thing we said is, this is private property. Go back. Private property. Leave now. At that point, everybody got enraged. There were people wearing body armor. One person pulled out some loaded pistol magazines and clicked them together and said, "You were next." We're threatened with our lives, threatened with a house being burned down, my office building being burned down, even our dog's life being threatened. It was about as bad as it can get. I mean, and there was, I really thought it was storming the Bastille, that we would be dead and the house would be burned, and there was nothing we could do about it. It was a huge and frightening crowd, and they broke in the gate and were coming at us.
There have been some reports on Twitter and people who say they were there that says they're saying the gate was already broken.
Yeah, that is nonsense. That is absolute nonsense. The gate was not broken. The gate was broken physically in half. Our trustees on Portland Place came out later in the night and chained it all up with an automotive tow chain, it looks like. But no, you can talk to the trustees on Portland Place that the gate was not broken in half and laying on the ground 1 second before they came in to storm the place.
So it goes on from there. I'll put the link below. I love Texans. Thank you. I'll put the link below so you guys can listen to the whole video. But he basically goes on to say that he's a civil rights guy, and he's defending a lot of people who have been treated poorly by the police. And so he doesn't understand, he's saying this is a revolution and that this is a certain ideology, and, it's a big revolution on, and it's Marxist, and he goes into a little bit more detail towards the end. I mean, it wasn't a knock you down interview. He's an attorney. His wife, I don't know if his wife's an attorney, but there's that. And there was another shooting in CHOP, another shooting where two, let me leave that one up and do this, where two African-American kids were shot. One was killed, a 16-year-old, and the 14-year-old is still in critical condition. I could have sworn that I sent myself this. Hold on. I'm sorry. I had this up. I don't know what happened. Oh. Hold on a second. Bear with me, guys. Actually. There is here developing. Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best confirms both victims of this morning's CHOP shooting are black males. One dead, one fighting for his life. Witnesses are not being cooperative. Person shot and killed by CHOP, quote, security is 14 as per the hospital. And I wanted to show you guys what they're saying. Here it is. This is what they're saying about the shooting. This is Antifa on Twitter. In the first armed conflict between fascists and the people won. Two fascists attacked CHOP with gunfire. Local communists, they call themselves communists, organizing self-defense, shot them both to pieces, the fascists found out. Then they say, this is why we need armed revolution. 2 Nazi terrorists out of action. Note that our side also offered medical aid to the perpetrator, something the fascists never would have done. Listen. These guys were African-American, so I don't understand the Nazi bit. I mean, anyone who doesn't agree with me is a Nazi? Is that what they mean? This is just horrible. And again, this is just a peaceful gathering in Oregon. See, fascists effed around and found out Those damn fascists, they got killed. They don't care. Fascism glorifies martyrs. What it cannot abide is victims. We must make fascists into victims. This is how scary these people are. It's terrifying. I'm not going to address the comment right now that someone's making about how Trump is going to lose and Biden. I'm just not, you could go back, just take a listen to the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 live streams I've done about why saying things like that and falling into that mindset is becoming, allowing yourself to become a loser in this war. And I'm not down for it, so I'm not even going to address it anymore. Falling for the polls and not paying attention to what's going on really, and kind of saying Biden will win and not just giving it, it's not a foregone conclusion either way. So it's ridiculous. Moving right along. Next, this really bothered me a lot.
Mount Morrison.
Cuomo was very, very proud of his mountain. This is just, it was the most disgusting thing to me. Let's play it. This is Governor Cuomo unveiling his taxpayer-funded mountain.
This, you know what this is? No. This is the mountain. What is the tallest mountain in the state of New York? Mount Morrison. This is the mountain that New Yorkers climb. I keep showing the curve. This is the curve. It's actually proportionate. We started on day 1, and the numbers kept going straight up for 42 days.
I don't know what he thinks he's doing, especially not when that curve is populated by thousands of people he personally was responsible for killing with his order about the nursing homes. This is just disgusting. I just thought this was so tactless, really. And in that same press conference, he went on to trash the president throughout the entire thing as well. I did, Sharon Black, who's working, one of our reporters that writes for us every single day. She does updates and news every day. Put this out yesterday. Press Secretary McEnany. Over 100 anarchists have been arrested. So this, I decided that we would investigate and put up on the site because a lot of people were saying, well, nothing's happening. They're not doing anything to fight this stuff, etc., so on and so forth. And it goes over 100 anarchists have been arrested for rioting and destruction of federal property. There are 200 open domestic terrorism investigations ongoing. And AG Barr created a task force on violent anti-government extremists, which is led by the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Northern Texas. With 200 Trump-appointed judges confirmed, the rule of law will be upheld. So this article, which I will also put in the box below when we're done with the stream, will go through all of the press releases for people that have been arrested and detail some of the other stories of people who are also in trouble right now. There is definitely action going on. It is not nothing super important. So there's that one. I hate this. This was a Black Bloc Antifa guy who ended up shooting a journalist in Louisville, Kentucky. He is accused of fatally shooting a photographer in Jefferson Square Park after a dispute with someone else, facing charges of murder and first-degree wanton endangerment. He's accused of killing Tyler Girth, a 27-year-old Louisville photographer who had become a vocal supporter of the protests. Your allegiance means nothing to these people. They do not care if you are a friend or a foe. Just saying. Here is another tweet that I wanted to show you, because we talked about this on my stream, not yesterday, but the day before, where I talked about how they were including positive antibody tests in the case counts for COVID. There were duplicate tests being done. There are some people who have sent, there's a tweet, I think there is a tweet that I read where two people this person knew went in to get tested. The line was like super long, or they didn't feel like waiting anymore and they left. And they got letters in the mail saying that they had tested positive for COVID, but they never tested. They never tested. A positive test result shows you may have antibodies from an infection with the virus that causes COVID-19. However, there's a chance a positive result means that you have antibodies from an infection with the virus from the same family of viruses, such as the one that causes a common cold. They are all over the map. All over the map. It is just insane. They're diagnosing people in Arizona with COVID-19 through virtual appointments. And I am getting the information I'm being sent. I'm just putting this out there because I haven't had a chance to reply intelligently yet. I'm getting all of the false positives from that lab. Somebody sent me a bunch of stories from Texas about a laboratory that is not being used any longer because all of the test results they processed from nursing homes and care facilities came back positive, and there was no outbreak. There was no outbreak. So there's that. Next, this is a thread that I absolutely loved. There are two threads I'm going to go over with you guys before we close it up for the day. I'm trying to do this a little more, and I have a massive, you know what sucks? I have something I need to tell everyone, and I'm not allowed yet. And it really bothers me. Tomorrow on the podcast, we have Laura Loomer. Friday on the podcast, we have Aubrey Huff. I'm very excited for both of those interviews. But anyway, I have something I need to tell you, and I can't tell you yet, but I'm trying to do these live streams more often. And perhaps that will become a reality in a different way. Maybe. We'll see. So, Molly McCann is on the team with Sidney Powell. And she worked on the case and is working on the case with General Flynn. As a matter of fact, Epoch Times, Jan did an interview with Sidney Powell, and Sidney talks about how there is actually more information coming out from the DIA. So there'll be more information even in this case than we have now. Excuse my water sip. The New York Times, she says, has no credibility as it continues to maliciously twist the truth with reporting that obfuscates the truth, and panders downright lies. In an op-ed today, the New York Times takes facts and tries to create a completely false narrative. And she threads it out. How Michael Flynn's defense team found powerful allies. Powerful allies. Sidney Powell did send a letter to AG Barr last year shortly after she was retained by Flynn. She sent it confidentially to urge the DOJ to correct manifest injustice. She sent it confidentially as a courtesy to the department, giving the DOJ an opportunity to preserve confidence in the rule of law. AG Barr forwarded Sidney's letter to lead prosecutor Brendan Van Grack, who replied that there was no further Brady material outstanding. Van Grack publicly filed the majority of Sidney's letter on October 1st. Now, Sidney Powell sent it to the Department of Justice. Van Grack published it. There was no underhanded secret here. Sidney was vocal about her view of the case long before she took on Flynn's defense. She wrote an op-ed in February of 2018 urging General Flynn to withdraw his plea. And ironically, Sidney believed that Judge Sullivan, appointed by Clinton, was the best equipped and experienced to know that the prosecutors had made up the case and were hiding evidence of Flynn's innocence, as she had also detailed in a December op-ed. The New York Times says at its core that the Flynn case is a, quote, drama about who gets to mete out justice in the Trump era. In this, at least, it is correct. The Flynn case has exposed the frightening reality that certain people will let nothing and no one stand in the way of power. These people cast aside any semblance of honor or integrity, targeted Flynn, and sicked corrupt prosecutors on him. They were willing to tear down the rule of law and destroy the bedrock principles of justice and due process on which our system depends, all for their own political purposes. Those purposes were to destroy General Flynn and the reforms he would make to the intelligence community, and to topple a democratically elected president, Donald J. Trump. The Flynn story is the story of the most breathtaking abuse of power in our nation's history. And the not failing but failed New York Times is attempting to cover that scandal up by fabricating tales to hide the truth, but the facts speak for themselves. Barr asked Jensen, a career DOJ attorney, to review the Flynn file, and Jensen uncovered exculpatory evidence so breathtaking it has rocked the foundations of our republic. This evidence is black and white. They ignore it because it's so ugly and unambiguous they can't even spin it. So they pretend it was never produced. And in any other time, and with an even partially honest media, the story of corruption would be on every front page. General Michael Flynn was set up by people intent on maintaining power, no matter what institutions, principles, or people had to be hacked to pieces in the process. This type of false reporting from the New York Times is not just biased, it's subversive. That was fantastic. This was what I tweeted to her. She winked. I love her. She's great. She's great. And there was a Lara Logan thread that I wanted to go over with you. And then I'm going to show you quickly how to find FOIA stuff that's brand new and released. And then I'm going to show you an interesting FOIA release that I found in a cadre with stuff on John Durham. So that's the end. So what are we at here now? Where are we? I don't know how long I've been broadcasting for. 26 minutes. I'll get through it in 30 minutes. I'll do it. Okay, so Lara Logan, fantastic journalist, very unbiased, straightforward. She has been doing a great job. She says, I've been a journalist for more than 35 years, and I've never in my life witnessed such extreme disinformation coming from political figures. 4 years of nonsense and lies peddled by Democrat leaders, believed by Trump haters, promoted by journalists pretending to care about the truth. It is sickening to watch people get away with it year after year. I am not and have never been defined by politics. I know the difference between good and evil, and I fight for the good. The truth is all that matters in the end. But amazingly, one side clings to these lies. I would say this no matter who was on which side. They'll say it's because I'm the, quote, darling of the right, but it's not true. They say that to take away decades of award-winning reporting and sacrifice and reduce all of those years of work and credibility because it threatened their lie. You can't create a false narrative of Russia collusion, spend tens of millions of taxpayer dollars to support looking for any way to support the lie, then have to admit the truth and still expect honest, decent people to fall for the ongoing lie you continue to build, regardless of the facts. Only the ideologically blinded would still believe at this point that the president is a Russian spy, still doing Putin's bidding, and a white supremacist neo-Nazi. Like the African American and Hispanic people I was reporting on this week, all labeled white supremacists too. Their crime was supporting a political candidate the left is determined to destroy, as they say, by any means necessary. How do you label a black woman with 3 degrees, one of them from Stanford, and 2 mixed-race daughters a white supremacist? So many Americans see through this and are tired of these smears. What many say to me is that you can oppose racism and racial injustice and support justice for George Floyd and others killed like him and support the police at the same time. You can be critical of this country and love it at the same time. You don't have to hate America to be a good person. The media megaphone today is held by those who see things one way, but there are millions of Americans today whose voices are ignored and overlooked. I know because I hear from them all the time. They say the majority is not silent. They say the majority is not silent. It's loud. But the media isn't listening to them because they look down on those living in flyover country who may not think the same way as they do. What they also say is that they do not believe this country is divided. Millions do not believe this country is divided, and we've never been more united in condemning and standing against racism. They're shocked leaders on both sides are not standing up for the principles on which this country was founded and say 1619 is part of what made 1776 so great. It led to a document based on principles of justice and equality and freedom that was meant ultimately to right the wrongs of the past and guarantee those things for all. Regardless of how you see it, this country has stood as a beacon of light in a dark world and still does. Leaders who don't stand to gain from America's destruction are watching from afar. Some have expressed to me in recent weeks that they fear for freedom everywhere if that light goes out here. Now, I don't think I need to even comment on that. It's pretty straightforward and great. If you go to the DOJ.gov or justice.gov and you go to the FOIA library, you can say access documents from all DOJ components, and then you can choose what departments you want to look at. There's the Office of the Inspector General. There is the Office of Legislative Affairs. There is the FBI. There is the Criminal Division. There is the Antitrust Division. There is the DOJ, the Office of the Attorney General. So if you click on that, it'll bring you to their websites. And in the case of at least the FBI, it brings you to the vault. But here, there's a criminal reading room, and they go by frequently requested. And in the Justice Department, they go by recently released. So if you see here, you can see that this FOIA release, if there's ever a lawsuit, like somebody sues the DOJ, like if there's a FOIA request and it goes to court, or if you file for FOIA and it's provided to you, it's publicly released. So they release things all the time on this website, and unless you're refreshing it and checking it and everything, you don't see them. But this one was published on June 25th. You can see here there was one posted June 23rd. There was one posted June 23rd. So you can look at these, and then you get the whole FOIA release here, and you can browse through it. So in this one, it's communications between certain public relations people at the DOJ and news organizations. And I found something interesting in here that I wanted to show you. Now, it's a little bit of a little thing, I guess. It's not too major, but it's interesting nonetheless. We'll end with this. This is an email from Tucker Carlson's producer to a spokesperson at the DOJ. And he says, "Hey, Devin, this is June 8th, 2018. I don't want to read too much into it. It's just interesting. Hey, Devin, hope all is well with you and that you aren't too hungover after last night's victory. I have some questions for a story I'm working on. What is the extent of the FBI's working relationship with the FBI, ? And he links to a Media Matters blog. He also says, any changes in has anything changed during the Trump administration? And he links to this. No, the FBI hasn't ditched the Southern Poverty Law Center. Is this producer insinuating that the SPLC is actually the FBI, or that they've got FBI agents inside, or that it's an undercover FBI operation, or that maybe there was a very close relationship between the two organizations? Did it change during the Trump administration, says Tucker Carlson's producer? I believe that's who it is. It says Tucker Carlson tonight inquiry regarding the SPLC and FBI. And then the gentleman, Devin O'Malley from the Department of Justice, replies, I think you'd have to ask the FBI. It's just super interesting, in my opinion. So that was one of the interesting things I pulled out. But again, like this here is 155 pages. So, you're sitting there, you're going through. There's the Durham release. That was pretty long. It was interesting to see who he was talking to. There's nothing real juicy in there other than he's been busy for quite a long time. So I just wanted to show you guys how to do that so that you would be able to do it yourself. So all you do is you could type in Justice FOIA, or you can go to justice.gov. OIP, all available components. I'll put this link in the description box below, too. And that's it. I think I did good. What is this? Oh my gosh, 34 minutes. I'm 4 minutes over. I will get to 30 minutes. I promise you, I will do it. I don't want to meander your day away. I'll be back tomorrow with another one of these things, so long as something interesting happens. If you appreciate the work that I do and you'd like to become a patron, I would really be honored to have you. You can find me on Patreon at patreon.com/TracyBeans with a Z. You can also find me on Subscribestar or PayPal at Tracy Beans. paypal.me/TracyBeans. Or if you want to support what we're doing at Uncover DC, you can buy some cool stuff in the shop, which I think things are now coming out nicely, or you can just support us by sending us a nice PayPal thing. And there's a lot of perks and stuff coming out soon too. These shirts are super comfortable and they're a lot of fun. And the pet bed is great too, by the way. And there are some really cool mugs. And I never had a merch store until I started this company, so I'm excited about it. And that's that. Love you guys. And